concrete just yet, and to say that time is of the essence would be a phenomenal understatement, because throughout their entire journey, these refugees and migrants have really been going through the most abysmal and inhumane conditions and circumstances. Take a look right here. This is the field in Hungary that they end up being held at, some for up to 24 hours while they wait to be processed. This is their reception into Europe, a country, a region that is intent on upholding so-called human rights and dignity, and yet they say that that is the very last thing that they are actually finding. Hungary says it can't cope, but when it comes down to the bare basics of it, these individuals say that after everything that they have been through, the very least that could be provided for them would be some water, and even that at this stage is lacking. Many of them do not want to stay here in Hungary. In fact, no one who we spoke to does. They want to keep moving on to Western Europe's wealthier nations. The problem, though, is that their transfer into these Western nations is not being facilitated. It's a very difficult process. They can't really get on trains like anyone else would, which is why we're seeing them resort to illegal smuggling, tapping into these various criminal gangs that are then ending up in situations like that horrific discovery that was made with those 70 bodies being found inside that truck on the highway leading from Budapest to Vienna. But that's how desperate these people are. The vast majority of them have been fleeing the war zone of Syria and Iraq. They don't have a choice. They did not come here because they want to. They did not come here because they want to steal European jobs. They came here because they cannot live in their homeland anymore, Allison.
Have European officials talked to you about the lack of resources to handle the thousands of migrants coming there? Could that be a huge issue on how they're treating them?
Look, a lot of the countries that they go through up until this point, Greece, Macedonia, Serbia, Hungary, these are not Europe's wealthier nations. And yes, they have been asking for additional support. And yes, we have been seeing the United Nations and the Red Cross beginning to appear in some of these key areas. But that really only happened, Allison, in the last week or so. If you'll remember, last week along the Macedonia-Serbia border, the Macedonians shut their border down and left refugees with children, pregnant women under the rain for 4 days before that border was opened. Hungary saying that it can't handle the record numbers that are coming through, also asking additional assistance. It ends up holding people here for hours. It holds them then in the processing center for 2 to 3 days, where there have been riots because the refugees and migrants are that frustrated. But then they're being met